What's up guys, Matt back again with another unboxing video, and today we're going to be reviewing the Super Saiyan Goku from History Box. Before we dive into the video, please remember to subscribe and hit the bell, like the video, comment your thoughts down below for us to discuss, follow me on my socials, and consider becoming a YouTube member to enter into our monthly giveaways and Discord server so our community can help you on your Dragon Ball figure collecting journey. This figure is based on Super Saiyan Goku from the Frieza arc of Dragon Ball Z. The figure is based on the moment Goku tells Frieza he can no longer beat him in Dragon Ball Z Chapter 131. This is a history box release, which are Banpresto diorama crane figures. The figure sells for an average price of $20 to $30 on the market. If you're interested in buying the figure for cheap, then use my discount code Peaches24 at bashmancollectibles.com to get 10% off of your first order and 5% off of every subsequent order. This figure was released on August 9th, 2022 in Japan. Goku stands at about 5 inches tall, weighs 9.5 ounces in box, weighs 4.4 ounces on his own, and the figure comes whole with his base. All right, are we about to see the redemption arc for History Box? Maybe I missed out on some cool figures when they started out, because I have some pretty interesting thoughts on this figure today. So let's not waste any time. Let's dive right in. As a character choice, this was one of the first figures that was selected for History Box. I think it was the first Super Saiyan Goku. It either was the first Super Saiyan Goku or the second. I don't remember off the top of my head during this review. He could be Volume 3 or Volume 4. I'm not sure. But I do think that this choice in Super Saiyan Goku is awesome. I would love to see a master release of this Goku when his shirt's completely ripped off. He's in Super Saiyan with the big fluffy hair, the blood, and he's just like huge. Back then, they made Goku so big when he was Super Saiyan, and I loved that. So it would be really great to see that return as a master release, but we're in History Box, and even though there were some Gokus released before this, I think it's a super iconic and unique moment from Dragon Ball Z, and I love the way Goku looks when he's fighting Frieza as a Super Saiyan. So I will give the character choice a 5 out of 5 in this instance. I am really happy with the direction that they went in for this figure. His likeness is actually pretty good. Now, I will say there isn't a high level of detail, just like a master release, for example. However, there is a lot to appreciate. I think they did his face really well. The blood really elevates it, coming down from his mouth and on his forehead. And, you know, they did a little bit of building on his eyes. The only thing is it just lacks a little bit of detail. It's so smushed up on his face, and he's so small. So it's really hard to appreciate a lot or really add a lot of detail to something like this. But I think they did a spectacular job nonetheless. So I'm going to give the likeness a 4 out of 5 in this instance. Pretty happy with that. Sculpt quality is actually pretty good. So the cool thing about this figure, I know he's small, but you can pose him up and display him without the base. So there is that going for you. I think it's just better to leave them on the base just because that's the intention. He's not going to fall over or anything. But, you know, I think I like the base. It has like that little bit of smoke coming off of Goku for dramatic effect. And the level of detail on the sculpt itself is good. You can't really see any like deviations. They made his hair like that fluffy style of Super Saiyan, which I really like. The details of his muscles are really cool. All the battle damage on his pants looks very awesome. So yeah, I think they did a really good job. So I'll give the sculpt quality a 5 out of 5. I'm actually pretty happy with this thing. And if you want to display it off of the base, you can do that. So just having that flexibility is really nice to see in a crane figure. Paint and shading is nearly perfect. Like I mentioned earlier, the blood really elevates this thing quite a bit. You can see it on his leg, on his chest, on his shoulder, and of course on his face. Nowhere else, but that is still really something to appreciate. And even though there isn't really a lot of paint on this thing, looks like most of the colors that you're going to see is from the molds that they chose for this figure. However, his hair, like I mentioned earlier, it's that more fluffy, bright yellow. I wish they went with a little lighter of a color, maybe a more whitish color, but it still looks really good. So I will give paint and shading a 4 out of 5 for a lot of effort done on Bandai. I wish they would have done more. Hang on a second. I think there actually might be some shading on his skin. Wait a minute. Is there some shading on his skin? I can't really tell, but it looks like on his arms, there might be some shading. Whoa. Yeah, I'm still going to give it a 4 out of 5, but that's really cool. Why don't they do this more often? I don't get it. The worst area of the figure is of course the size and scale. History box barely scales with each other, but they're still really small. 5 inches is very, very tiny for this thing. Putting them next to a lot of other figures just kind of puts into perspective how small this figure is. But, it's something that we've just learned to accept. I think holistically in the market, it's kind of mid. So size and scale will be a 3 out of 5. There's nothing really bad about having a small figure, but when you charge about $30 for it at US retail, it's a little inexcusable, because you can get the same thing for, I can go buy a Grandista, an old Grandista, for the same price on Big Bad Toy Store, for example. So it's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I am pretty satisfied with this figure. This might be my favorite History Box figure that I've reviewed so far. And I have to say, between the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, the Bardock, the Ultimate Gohan, the Majin Vegeta, I can see that History Box can be appreciated maybe as a small accent somewhere. And, they have their place. I don't think they're the worst anymore. Even with this really awful Frieza and the Orange Piccolo that they've done, I think there are some decent ones in here if you can get them at a discounted price. So yeah, I'll walk away and I'll give this guy a 4 out of 5. Thank you all again for watching today's video. But before we move on to the upcoming giveaways this month, I'd like to mention my new merch that's launched. We've got shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more. If you want to support me a bit further and rock some of the merch on the channel, please check out the shop tab on my channel. But until the next video, guys, I will see you all later.